you for joining this call. We're glad you all are here. We just want to welcome you today. We want you to know that the slide presentation that we prepared today is in response to the various questions that we've gotten from parents based on the last survey that was sent out. And so we did send out a survey seeking parent responses with regards to the three options that we presented as options for students. And in that survey, there was an opportunity to respond and ask questions. And so the presentation that we put together today is by and large based on those questions. But we've also included information based on national, state, and local guidelines. That being said, I'd like to go ahead and get started and let you know who's on the call with me today. So I have myself, Dr. Rentie. I am the founder and executive director at Reach. If you're if you're new to Reach and I have not had an opportunity to meet you yet, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you for joining the call. And thanks to the rest of you. It's good to see all of you. I also have two assistant principals going into the new school year. The first individual most of you have met, which is Miss Susie Navarro. She's our assistant principal in charge of discipline and attendance. Mr. Finley is the assistant principal over curriculum and instruction. We also have on the call Mrs. Kalmus. Joanna Kalmus is the director of business operations here at Reach. We have Mrs. Venice Angel, who's our director of special education. Venice also conducts counseling on campus where needed in crisis situations as it relates to all of our kids, not just our sped ed kiddos. Most of you will be familiar with Mrs. Ann Dumeier, who's the administrative instructional specialist here at Reach. Marilyn De La Cruz, the executive assistant here at Reach, my executive assistant. Glad to have her on the call. Mr. Ruben Nolasco is a facility safety coordinator. He's also here with us today. We have Mr. Cameron Rentie, who is the IT coordinator. We have Mrs. Rachel Staylor, who's special programs coordinator. So if you're new to Reach and you're in the process of enrolling your student or your child, and you've done that over the last month or so, well, since I guess March, then you're very familiar with who Rachel is. Miss Amanda Espinosa is the school nurse. She's also on the call. And then we have Miss Christina Hernandez, who's the after school programs coordinator. So we try to get as many people on the call as possible so that we can answer all of your questions. Directly from the source, right? So moving on, we want you to know that the plan that we're sharing with you today is in conjunction with and in alignment with the guidance that we've gotten from the CDE, as well as we've consulted with the Cal OSHA plan for safe reopening of schools. We've also taken a look at our USD's plan for our opening schools. Riverside County Office of Education provided copious guidelines on a safe way to open schools. So we've consulted with all of those recommendations as well as with your requests and your responses to try to put together a program that not only meets your needs, but also fits the bill of being opening a school in the safest manner possible. And next slide, Mrs. Kalmus.
Yes, we want to reassure you that staff and student safety is our #1 priority. As Dr. Rentie said, we're keeping up on a daily basis, not only with our state and local guidelines of the CDE, but also what local government's doing. And again, we want to reassure you that the #1 priority is the safety of the students and staff. After that, of course, to ensure you have kids have the best educational experience and parents and staff are satisfied with that.
Thank you, Joanna. Moving on to parent options. And so you've all been given 3 options. Option 1 is 100% distance learning. And let me just kind of back out a little bit. These options were put in place as we try to think about the best way to meet all the needs of our parents. And so based on the first survey that we sent out, we knew that there was a contingency of parents that needed childcare every day. So based on that need, we looked at our campus, we looked at the needs, we looked at the needs of our students, our faculty, our families, and that's where these three options were pretty much birthed from. And so the first option is 100% distance learning. So if you opted in there, your child will be learning remotely 100% of the time. Option 2 is a hybrid model, and we've decided to go with an A-B schedule with a weekly rotation. So students will attend school Monday through Thursday, and so they'll attend class one week, and then the opposite week they will be at home engaging in remote learning. We thought this was the best and least disruptive option for our students. We felt like a half-day schedule or a every Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday option would be too disruptive in learning. We also felt that it would be easy for most parents to be able to find childcare for the week as opposed to that, daily rotation. And so that's how we came up with our hybrid model. Option 3, which is something that appears to be unique to Reach, which is an option for essential workers only. We know that there are parents out there that are have to work, and so we wanted to see what we could do to meet their needs. And so for the essential worker, their child will attend school Monday through Friday. We'll go into detail later as to what Friday will look like, but the students will have uninterrupted learning week after week. As these parents are required to go to work, we wanted to make sure those students' needs were taken care of as well. Students were placed in cohorts based on the survey results that we've gotten, and I'll go into detail a little bit later as to where we are with regards to the surveys, what our needs are as far as parent. As a matter of fact, I think it's the next option, the next slide. Let me just go on there. So yeah, commitment. So we have a commitment to you. Number one, to be open schools, as Mrs. Kalmus has said, open our school in the safest manner as possible. But we also have a commitment that we need from our parents as well. And so we will, at this point, we only have about, well over 100 kids that we have no idea what their parent options or what the parent choices are. So we are going to need parents to respond to that survey as soon as possible. We will open the survey and leave it open until this Sunday, August 2nd, until 6 p.m. After that time, we will close the survey, and then we will begin to place students in classes. If we do not get a response by that time, students will automatically be placed in option 1, which is 100% distance learning. If a child is placed in option 1 and the hybrid model, for instance, for that class is full, then they will have to be unfortunately placed on a wait list. So we want to strongly encourage you to respond to the survey as soon as possible. If you have responded to the survey, we're asking you not to attempt to change your options by responding to the survey again. After we place students in class, before we open school, we will be reaching out to you one more time just to confirm your option. And at that time, if things have changed, it's okay to let us know. And again, hopefully, we should be able to accommodate you. Right now, the numbers are falling really, really well. So again, it'll mess up what we've done so far, and it's just further confusing if you were to try to change your preference. But if you have not stated your preference, again, we strongly encourage you to do so as soon as possible. We will have to say that after August 25th, which would be the first day of school, there will be a stay put, so to speak, so that there will be no more changes until December 31st. So going into the winter break, we will allow changes as gearing up for January. That is, of course, if we're still on this distance learning model. We also need your after-school preferences as soon as possible. If you're in need in childcare Monday through Friday on any one of those days, we need to know, because right now what we're trying to do is put together staffing and coordinating programs to meet all the needs of our parents. I also wanted to state that we do intend to be in 100% distance learning on the first week of school. So the August 25th will open up. It's a Tuesday, 100% distance learning. And then the second, let me back up. So if we're off the watch list, Riverside, and we're allowed to go back to school, then we intend to open up, I believe it's August 31st would be the first week of the hybrid. More information to follow with regards to that. And you can look for correspondence from the admin office to parents being in more detail with regards to the start of the school day. I'm going to go ahead and move forward with a lot of the content that we do have to cover in relationship to the questions that have been asked. So we're going to start off with option one, which is distance learning, and we'll go ahead and go into detail in terms of what parents can expect if you've chosen the 100% distance learning option, and then with regards to when your students are at home or your child's at home learning remotely.
Hi everyone, I am Mr. Marcus Finley and I am one of the assistant principals here at Reach. Before I continue, I just want to put it out there that if you have any questions as we go by, feel free to write the questions in the chat and we will have a question segment at the end of the presentation. So when we think about distance learning instruction, we are charged with the ability to ensure that students at home receive a full, rigorous educational experience. So even though COVID is present, we want to make sure that our students are still home learning, and we want to provide them with as much as of an experience as if they were actually on our campus. So with that being said, we are going to structure our day very similarly to the hybrid model, where classes will go from 7:45 to 2:15. We're going to ensure that our Zoom sessions are streamed live. These sessions will be recorded and they will be shared with parents afterwards. So you'll have access to all of the lesson components that we would have covered throughout the day at a later time. If for some reason your student might have missed it that day or missed one of the sessions, or for review purposes. So again, we want to make sure that this experience is as close as possible to in-school instruction. And with that, we are going to be providing a lot of our regular subjects, such as math, ELA, writing, science, social studies, leadership, and also PE. We think all our subjects are equally important. And even though students are home, we want to make sure that they have exposure to these different content areas. We will also be conducting small group instruction. We have been over the past few years, and history has shown that small group instruction is very much rewarding. So we want to make sure that students are still getting that small group instruction, even though they are learning remotely. Tutoring will continue as well, and all of our special education services will be provided. We will go in depth to each as the presentation continues.
Getting some feedback, and if you're, I'm not speaking, if you could just, be great. If you could just mute if you're not speaking. Awesome. I do want to mention that students can participate in the live sessions while teachers are teaching. So most of the direct instruction piece during the day is about 30 minutes, and the teachers will post the times. If it, you know, if a child is able to, they can participate in that direct instruction piece. The teacher then will release our remote learners to go and do work individually, and teachers will have afternoon tutoring session and office hours to answer any questions that the students have. But during the direct instruction piece, if students want to participate, ask questions, they definitely may do so, but we are very aware that we don't want students on Zoom for the entire day. So they'll be, you know, asked to participate just during the direct instruction piece, complete their work online, and then there'll be some volleying back and forth. This will be clearer to you as we move forward. Just wanted to add that. All right, thank you, Mr. Finley. Moving on, special ed.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Rentie. I'm Denise Angel, the Director of Special Ed. I wanted to just touch base in regards to our special education supports and services. We currently, well, we ended last year with COVID and we kept all of our current services in place. So that will continue to happen. So all of the special education supports, services, modifications, and accommodations will stay active and be, will match what the last affirmed IEP was. It's important to note that all of our assessments will be done online. Last year, we kind of tabled one of them towards the end of the year because we weren't in person, but going forward, they will all be online. And then all IEP meetings will be held over Zoom, and we'll communicate with you through DocuSign and your email so that you'll be aware of when the meetings are. And we'll hold those meetings Monday through Thursday after 2:15, and then off and on throughout the day on Friday. When it comes to behavior, if you have a student that has behavior supports, the behavior supports will be provided in the classroom when the student is on campus, and they will be provided through Zoom if they're participating in long distance learning. Thank you, Dr. Rentie.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Denise. All right. All right, moving on to lunch.
So if we were to have our 100% distance learning option, we would have a similar program as we had in the summer, which would be opened Monday through Friday. This time we're opening up the hours a little bit longer from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Parents are welcome to drive up and get their lunch. They will be receiving breakfast and lunch for the entire day. And if we have the other option in regards to a hybrid, we would have the lunch in the classrooms with hand washing procedures as a must. It's mandated, it's in the slot of the actual schedule of the students, and we will have one lunch staff person for each classroom, and with all of that is all of the lunch procedures to follow as well.
Thank you. Assessments.
Hi, I'm Ann Dumeyer. I'm the Administrative Instructional Specialist at REACH. So I don't know how many people are very aware with how we do our small group instruction, but part of what we do at REACH is deliver assessments multiple times a year to get information about how students learn and where they're at and what skills we can focus on to get them where they need to be. And so those assessments happen 4 times a year for one of the assessments for the STAR test, and then 3 times a year for our DIBELS assessment, which is a dynamic indicator of early literacy. So what that does for us is lets us kind of plan our instruction according to need. And those will continue as scheduled. And what we'll do is reach out and plan appointments on those Fridays so that you have your student come in person, and they'll test one-to-one. And that would be as soon as the campus is open. And if we are in distance learning, you'll hear from us about what that will look like for them to come in and test with distance, social distancing. But we do want to make sure that we continue to gather that data to create the best instruction for your student.
Awesome. Thank you. PE.
Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn Dela Cruz, Dr. Rentie's executive assistant. So under the distance learning model, we will continue to have PE. Our activities will be modified, and instruction will be provided daily. We are still looking at having a 30-minute slot. 20 minutes of those would be instruction from our teachers, and then 10 minutes at home, which some of the options are either going on a walk, doing some stretches, and then also grades will be grouped together in order to deliver that instruction.
Awesome. Thank you. Arrival and dismissal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ruben Nolasco. I am the safety and traffic coordinator. And so I want to go over what the morning arrival protocol will look like, and also dismissal. So upon arrival, temperature checks will be given by staff throughout the school. We'll have one person designated at the gate entrance, and the other staff members that are normally opening doors that will be receiving students and taking their temperature. Anybody with a temperature above 104 degrees, we're going to be sending them home. Same thing with students who walk up through the walk-up line. They'll be taking their temperature, and anything above 104, we'll be sending them home. For dismissal, we're gonna have multiple entrances and exits, which means that kindergarten will have its own dismissal procedure, and it'll work the same as the main campus, but they have a smaller amount of classes. So we're gonna use the gates that are located over at the kinder buildings. We'll have one person at the entrance and one staff member at the exit. And same thing with the main gate and the main exit that we're going to be using. So the way it's going to work is we're going to have social distancing signage throughout the school, so people know where to walk, students know where to where to walk. So we're practicing social distancing. We're going to be allowing only a certain amount of parents to come in to the campus. So we're not going to allow everybody in at once. But the staff member at the exit, they're going to be counting the number of people that are leaving and letting the person in the entrance know. So we'll have a constant flow of people entering and exiting simultaneously. We're going to have clear pathways. I talked about that. We're going to be practicing social distancing as much as we can, and face coverings. We're going to be all wearing facial masks. If anybody doesn't have a face mask, you are required to have one per state mandates. If you don't have one, parents don't have one, or students don't have one, we will have them at a limited cost available. And that's pretty much it for that slide.
I'm trying to stop my phone from going off. It won't stop. Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate that.
Dr. Rentie,
Yes.
just for the recording, we wanted to clarify that it's 100.4, not 104. There was some confusion about that.
Thank you. Thank you. 100.4. Correct. Thank you, Rachel.
Also, Dr. Rentie, before we continue, can we share with the viewers that we have transitioned over to the hybrid model?
Okay, okay, I will at some point. So I guess the hybrid, yeah, not sure. Sorry about that. So it looks like we're on hybrid, not 100% distance learning. I guess we had a slide out of place, or I skipped a slide. That probably happened. I did want to indicate that there will be additional temperature checks throughout during the day. So if a child arrives, and I think Amanda might get to this later, if a child arrives and the temperature is okay, but teachers will have obviously be keeping their eyes on the health of kids. And if a child becomes listless or appears to have a temperature, we'll be checking throughout the day, obviously, for to make sure kids remain healthy while they're on campus. Thank you. So as Mr. Finley said, we are now discussing the hybrid model. Somehow I missed that. And so we transitioned from 100% distance learning. And so now this is for kids coming onto campus, either hybrid or essential workers. Don't know where that slide went. I didn't skip any more slides, did I?
No.
Okay, all right. Moving on to attendance, Ms. Navarro.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susie Navarro. I'm one of the assistant principals at RAGE. It's lovely to see your faces here. I do want to speak to attendance. We are keeping up to date with the latest information from the CD, which is the California Department of Education. And as of today, the state of California is requiring the school to provide rigorous instructions, and therefore attendance is mandatory, as instruction will mirror regular class instruction as closely as possible. The school, so you know, is required by the state to document absences and report absenteeism just the same as we would if we were, you know, following the traditional schedule. So please expect daily school notifications of absences to go out from the school to you if your child is absent, and expect for attendance to be taken daily. We're asking, before we move on to the next one, I know we just did, but we're asking for you to call the school and report, attendance or absences just the same way that you would in a traditional school setting.
Thank you for that. Moving on to the schedule. So with regards to what does a day look like if you are an essential worker and your child's coming Monday through Friday, or if your child's on a hybrid schedule. So school will open, or classes will begin 7:45 to 2:15. So you'll see that the school has been shortened the school day has been shortened by an hour. This was to allow teachers additional time and opportunity to facilitate and manage both a hybrid 100% distance learning as well as essential worker kids, right? So teachers have a lot to juggle, and we wanted to make sure they were still able to hold office hours, return your calls during the day as well. So we shortened the day slightly in terms of instruction, but remember that remote learning is still taking place. Students may arrive as early as 7 a.m. And obviously it would look very different upon arrival. There will be no handshaking, but definitely we'll be greeting kids. Students will be physically distanced from the time they arrive on campus until the time they leave. Students must be picked up on time, or if they are placed into the after-school program, there will be a fee applied, just so that you know. So Zoom sessions, again, will be live and recorded, so parents can access with their children those Zoom sessions later, or kids can participate 100% during a live session, or a combination thereof. But we are expecting our students that when they are on remote learning, that they are responsible for the content that's being pushed out in every class. And again, which has been reiterated earlier, I believe Mr. Finley mentioned that the full gamut of instruction will be covered from social studies and science. We have been in the process of purchasing, in some areas, new curriculum where we feel like purchasing curriculum that would further support remote learning. So for instance, we have a brand new science curriculum that we feel like is more, will allow us to like carry on with a hybrid, or in-class learning, 100% distance learning. It'll help us to facilitate that particular curriculum more easily. We are also updating our math curriculum to, it's still Singapore math, but again, making sure we have that online component met as well. So for our remote learners, again, I think I've already mentioned that pretty much. Well, I know I have, that they're required, obviously, to complete all instruction. They're responsible for the content that's being pushed out. If you have students and kinder, first and second, just remember that we're very cognizant of their screen time, and the screen time will be adjusted based on grade level. Throughout the day, we'll have hand washing stations and blocks of time where kids will wash their hands. We're installing, maybe someone's going to get to this later, but we are installing outside wash basins so that we have more opportunities and more places for kids to wash their hands. But we know that in terms of like how to keep ourselves safe, wearing a mask, physical distancing, and hand washing are probably amongst the top three options there. Students will be given regular breaks throughout the day. There will be a modified PE, as we've indicated. Lunch will be held in classrooms. There will be no congregate gatherings. So there will be no large gatherings in the NPR, for example. We won't have any award ceremonies and things like that. There'll be no volunteers on campus for next year. Keeping the visitors just to the office only. Obviously, if you're a parent and you want to observe your child's class, you may always do that by appointment only, but we're going to be very, very, how do I say, strict or tight or restrictive as it relates to people coming on and off campus for obvious reasons. All right, moving on to instruction.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rentie, and thank you, parents, for sharing your questions in the chat. We are taking a look at the questions and continue sharing more questions. We will answer them at the end. With regards to instruction, as we think of the hybrid model, like mentioned earlier, we are going to cover all of our subject areas on a day-to-day basis. However, the time span for each subject depends on the subject itself. So for example, social studies may be 30 minutes long, whereby science can be 45 minutes to 1 hour, whereby math could be like 45 minutes to 35 minutes. So we put a range of 30 minutes to 1 hour. That's the general duration of what each or all of our subject areas can run to. We are ensuring that direct teaching is happening, so we won't be pre-recording videos and putting it on daily. We're going to be doing live teaching on Zoom. We are going to be doing direct instruction. We are going to be doing scaffolding, where we get the students engaged by asking them questions throughout the lesson. And at the end, we're going to present each student with an independent package or an independent activity for them to show what they have learned throughout that lesson for each individual lesson. We will be also using technology as much as possible during our hybrid learning model to ensure that we meet the needs of the kids at home as well as the kids in school. So students at home during the hybrid model component will be able to ask questions as well through Zoom. So teachers are going to embed time into their schedule or into their lessons to ask questions to students at home, where they're able to unmute and participate, and the students in the classroom will be able to hear their responses as well. So again, we want to make the experience as close to regular school as possible. Students at home will be completing assignments while the students in the classroom will be doing independent work live in the classroom. So again, whatever is happening at school will be replicated at home.
I do want to indicate that there are at the upper grades, a session could go, I think, as long as maybe 70 minutes, 75 minutes. So we'll go over the hour. And again, that could be various classes in grades 4, 5, and 6. However, the direct instruction piece where the teacher is teaching, it's usually no more than 30 minutes. So thank you for that, Mr. Finley. Moving on. Zoom session.
Okay. Parents had questions about the Zoom sessions, and we really just wanted to stamp here that our Zoom sessions are going to be live. And I know you have heard this probably like 3 times already, but we want to stamp that the Zoom sessions are going to be live in all grades. They are going to be recorded, and they are going to be as rigorous as possible because we want to make sure that our kids are still learning and growing, whether they are at school or at home.
And I don't want you all to freak out, parents. I want you to know that if you were at Reach last year and you finally got a hang of the online learning, it'll be similar. I know that, for instance, Kinder is still using Seesaw. And so some of those engaging software that was used in the past will continue to be used. So we will have Zoom lessons. Google Classroom will also still be in play. And so there'll be a very active and engaged cohorts across the campus. And so we're here to support you in any way, shape, or form. If you're having a difficult time logging into Zoom or need any assistance, we're here to help with that as well. So just so that you know, we'll walk you through the process if you're feeling a little overwhelmed right now. But we do want to make sure we mitigate any loss in learning because of the early closure last year. And we have a good chunk of this year where we're going to be learning remotely. We need to make sure that our students are prepared for the next grade when COVID is over. Moving on, student materials.
In terms of student materials, we are asking parents, or we're recommending for students not to bring items from home, such as backpacks and such, for the grades K through 1, due to very limited individual storage space. So because we will not be able to hold each item separately from other students' items, we're asking for parents from K to 1 to not send anything else outside of, say, lunch, for example.
A lunch bag.
Like a lunch bag or lunch pail.
And then their individual, like, pencil boxes, right?
Yes, I'm about to talk about that. For grades 2nd through 6, you're welcome to send the students with items. Now, for all grades, with backpacks, I should clarify. For all grades, we're asking parents to send individual items with your students if possible. We listed a few items that we feel could be useful in the classroom, such as a pencil box, writing pencils, crayons, color pencils, markers, glue sticks, even hand sanitizer if you feel you want your child to be sanitizing their hands. Individual water bottles would be something great to have. And we want to say these are just recommendations, but definitely be on the lookout for teachers, grades, level specific lists. Also snacks, if you want to send them, that's permitted as well. We will not permit sharing of items in the classroom or outside. And I want to mention that we will have items available for families in need, so definitely let us know if there is a need. We did hear, or I saw in the chat that somebody had questions in regards to technology, and want to say that computers will continue being available to all students for Zoom purposes, etc.
Now, if you do have a computer available at home, we are asking that you use the computers that you do have. If your child doesn't have a computer available, we'll obviously those out again. I do want to say that water bottles are not optional. And can everyone hear me okay? Because my internet's saying unstable. Water bottles are not optional. We are actually required to make our water fountains off limits, but we do have stations where students can refill their water bottles. So we are asking for individual water bottles to come labeled with the child's name on it. And obviously if they don't have one, the school will provide those, but you can help us tremendously by sending a water bottle with your child, pencil box with your child, so that we can obviously, they have their own individual materials there. And again, if you have a computer, please use it. If not, we will definitely take care of your computer needs as to the extent that we can. Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Assessments.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Fantastic. We went over assessments at the beginning. So during the hybrid model, what will happen is while you're in school, your student will test in class during the time they're there, Monday to Thursday, on their on week. And if your child is distance learning only, for those kids that are choosing to be home 100% of the time, we would still have those scheduled for you one-to-one on Friday while the other students are not in the classroom. As far as where you would be making sure that you drop off and then return, because you wouldn't be able to just hang out in the front office because there'd be so many kids kind of coming and going on those days. But we'll let you know and have very clear examples of what to do when that does come up.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Meyer. Special education. Hybrid style.
Yes, okay, so I'm noticing some of the questions coming from parents. So
We can answer the questions at the end, if you don't mind.
okay, so the hybrid model. So services will continue to be provided in the class if the student is on campus, and via Zoom if the student is home that week. All the instruction will be done in small group or one-to-one instruction. So you may have speech and you'll probably have one-to-one or no more than 2-to-1. And if you're receiving academic supports, then you'll probably receive one-to-one, if not small group instruction via Zoom. All of the assessments this year will be online. And I know that there was some concern and questions regarding behavior support. So just to address them just momentarily. So behavior supports, if your student is on campus, will receive the same supports as they did last year when they were on the campus, right? So if you have behavior supports and your student's on campus, your person would be with you. And if your student is working from home that week or during a long distance model, the behavior support would be provided through Zoom. With that being said, we will be continuously monitoring and collecting data on your student and the student's engagement, as well as their sustained attention ability through either of the models, and we will convene an IEP meeting when necessary to review the current supports and any type of modification of those supports. In addition to that, I just want to mention again that IEP meetings will be held via Zoom. So we won't have, regardless if we're on campus or off campus, we will continue to hold all of the IEP meetings via Zoom to promote that social distance capacity type of idea. And then also in regards to your scheduling, I had some questions coming in about that as well. Please see your email. We communicate really well through email, and I promise you that we will make sure that you'll have all of your questions answered through email, and you'll know exactly where your students going and when their instruction's taking place. And then of course you can always reach out for any questions.
If you have, if we can mute everyone else, please. Can someone mute? Thank you, Ms. Fenice. We're going to go ahead and move on to technology. Mr. Cameron. Are you muted?
My name is Cameron. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your connection's not great.
Yes, the connection isn't good. But you can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Cameron Rentie. I'm the IT here at Reach. So for those who are doing distance learning or hybrid learning in the fall, the process for checking out devices is going to be similar as it was earlier this year. So we're going to have a time frame where you'll come in and then sign a contract and then check out your device. This time though, we're asking parents to make a deposit for their Chromebook chargers, which is going to be $40. So if you return your Chromebook charger, you'll get the deposit back. And then if you don't, then we'll keep the deposit. We're doing this because we have we had quite a few charges that weren't returned. So we just want to make sure that everybody gets their charges back. And then let's see, hotspots. We do have hotspots available for those who don't have a reliable internet connection at home. So you can let the front office know, or send an email to techsupport@reachroyals.org if you want to request a hotspot at checkout. Let's see, and then that tech support email, you can use that if you're at home and you're having any trouble with your device that you checked out. The IT team will be available for troubleshooting for your device.
Thank you, Cameron. And if you're free reduced lunch and you don't have the $40, we'll work with you on payment. Like, we don't want the money or need it. We just, we're having to purchase additional cords to send home just because of the way the charging stations are. And so we're spending a few more $1,000 just on cords alone. We just need to make sure we get the cords back. Honestly, that's it. So just be ready for that. Thank you, Cameron. Moving on to PE and a hybrid model. Thank you, Marilyn.
Hello, everybody. Marilyn once again. So for PE under the hybrid model, activities once again will be modified, and the PE instruction will be provided daily. We will continue with 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes of those being led by a teacher, and then 10 minutes at home at your own pace. So it could be anything from an activity such as walking, stretches, playing a sport. And of course, with under the hybrid option, we are adhering to social distancing and individual materials. So our PE staff, for those students that are on campus, will make sure to routinely disinfect any of the items that are used by the students.
Thank you. Recess and breaks.
Okay, I was unmuting myself. What we want you to know before I even get into the process here is that our initial focus will be around safety. And then as time passes by, we'll continue monitoring and adjusting according to the students' needs as well. With that being said, there will be we will have modified recess and breaks. We will have the students take breaks, scheduled breaks throughout the day. We have very strong transition protocols, something to expect, and we mentioned it earlier, but I want to say that we will have clear pathways with specific directions throughout the campus where staff and students will follow, allowing them to keep social distance protocols. The students will take breaks and recesses in small cohorts, and staff will be monitoring the students closely. We will take the time during the breaks and recesses to allow the students to do some hand washing, to drink water, to go to the restrooms. And we're definitely advising parents to send anything that you would feel would be something that your student or your child would enjoy during recess, such as a book that they love to read outside, individual items that, once again, they will not share with other students. But if you feel that, your student has something of interest that they can bring to break with, then that's encouraged as well.
Thank you. Lunch protocols.
Again, so if we were to have a hybrid model, when we do, I should say, it would be in the classroom. We're not going to have, the usual meeting and gathering in the NPR. There's going to be mandatory hand wash. It's going to be part of the schedule, and it's going to be embedded there, and it will be mandatory. We will have lunch procedures in the classroom, and we will assign one teacher per classroom to help with all of those procedures to ensure everybody is adhering to them.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, childcare, and this is for essential workers only. Wanted to get a little more information as it relates to that Friday schedule and what that looks like. So Friday childcare is available throughout the school day, again, for those students that will be in attendance on Friday. What will happen is the students will be supervised by classified staff. Those students will be physically distanced. They will be, during the day, staff will help them with work completion, snacks, lunch, breaks, hand washing, all at no charge. Again, this is primarily to accommodate those parents that have to work. So no charge for the childcare up until 2:15. Anything after 2:15 then rolls over into the after school program where there is a fee assessed. But during the day, there is no charge. And again, this program will be robust. It will be, those students will be in individual classrooms based on grade level, very, very small cohorts where work will be completed, and we'll have obviously some fun activities, but there will be no interacting and no sharing of materials, and students will be physically distanced the entire time. Hope that sheds some light on that. All right, and then after school programs, next up. You're muted, Miss Christina.
Hi again, I'm Miss Christina. I'm the after school coordinator. I wanted to go over the schedule. We will be open daily, Monday through Friday. Our hours will be from 2:15 to 6 p.m. every day. Also, we will have after school available to all students when present on campus receiving instruction. Also, we will have social distancing practices enforced. Our group sizes will be smaller now. Also, we'll have snacks daily in classrooms delivered. We'll have a strict transition protocols in place. We'll have frequent hand washing. Also, there will be no sharing of any materials. All students will have their own materials with them for them available daily. For free play, we've replaced it with recess enhanced program to ensure students are always 6 feet apart. Also, our open enrollment starts on August 10th.
And Miss Christina, just for more information, when will, I guess, information be sent out to parents with regards to the open enrollment process and what they can do to sign up for the program?
Oh, open enrollment will start on August 10th, and then the next week, we're gonna send an information fact sheet with all the pricing and everything they need to know to enroll their students.
Perfect, thank you. Tutoring.
Hi. At REACH, we always have our teachers providing tutoring. In addition to that, the intervention staff provides small group instruction, which correlates to also tutoring. And so what that will look like this year will be staggered. The times will vary by grade. It'll depend on if we're distance learning only, it would be online only. If we're in our hybrid model, some kids would be on campus getting small group instruction. Teachers may be doing it online, but we'll kind of let you know as we see where we're at and what that looks like. There will continue to be tutoring. Most of our tutoring will be skill-based so that we can close the gap for any kids who aren't meeting benchmarks to make sure that they get where they need to be and mitigate learning loss, because that's a huge focus and we want to make sure that everybody's needs are met. So part of what we're doing with those assessments is making sure that we know what they need, and through tutoring and small group instruction, we're going to be supporting those students and making sure that they get what they need. So both teachers and interventionists will be pulling those groups or working in one-to-one groups to make sure that everybody gets what they need.
Awesome, thank you. Donations.
Hi, so we are responding based on a survey. There was a lot of parents, and we're very grateful for it, that are willing to help and wanting to help. And if so, definitely with hand sanitizers would be very helpful. Pencil bins, pencils, etc. You can have these items donated. You can send them to the front office. It's either Isabel or Giselle in the front office. If you want a specific teacher, you want to donate a specific classroom, just have that, just let them know. If not, it would go to the school. But again, we welcome any donations and we appreciate them.
I guess I should have maybe looked at this a little more intently. I would say tissue boxes. Tissue is always welcome. I mean, we always need tissue. We always need glue sticks, crayons, color pencils. Dry erase markers are a big deal. I do want to just kind of throw it out there that we are getting Promethean boards for every classroom, which is going to be really exciting as well. So some good stuff coming to facilitate the online learning, but we still need dry erase markers. The kids use that quite a bit. And if anyone is so inclined, teachers use individual whiteboards for kids. And if anyone wants to donate those as well, it's super, super helpful. So thank you for your donations in advance. That leads us on to health and safety.
Hi again, everyone. I want to go over face covering expectations. So masks and face shields are acceptable. Mask, as long as they're school appropriate, any color is okay. Grades 3 and higher are all mandated, and it's a requirement for them to wear a mask. Grades 2 and below we're strongly encouraged, but in their classrooms, we're going to have a screen protection over like a sneeze guard. So that'll help those younger grades be more safe.
That's great. I'm glad you brought that up, Ruben. I didn't mention, we haven't mentioned, but we do want to let you know that in the grades that are the upper grades, second grade on up, the students are in individual desks. And so on their hybrid days, they will be 6 feet apart. So we'll physically distance those kids in their classrooms. And as Mr. Ruben said, the lower grades share tables. And so they will have their individual workstations with the sneeze guards dividing the different stations. They will also still be 6 feet apart as well. Moving on.
Right, so continuing this slide, face covering is a requirement for all students and staff. So we're all going to be wearing some type of facial covering to keep everybody safe. We're going to be having temperature checks throughout the day, not just in the morning, but that'll be integrated in our schedule. We're also doing constant sanitizing of our campus. So high touch areas, doorknobs, tabletops, desks, anything that is constantly being touched will be sanitized throughout the day. We're having nightly custodians and also our custodians throughout the day. I believe we hired an extra person to be able to be going around and cleaning all of those areas after morning arrival, after transitions, just constant sanitizing throughout the day and at night also. Shields and dividers in classroom, Dr. Rentie covered that. We'll have that for our TK and first grade classrooms. We've also added a total of 12 hand washing stations outside of the buildings. So we'll have 2 separate locations with 6 hand washing stations available. And we're also integrating that into our schedule, so there'll be extra hand washing available. We're also practicing socially distancing at all times. We're working on placing signage throughout the campus, so students know where to walk, staff know where to walk. So we're all in constant remembrance of social distancing. And thank you.
Awesome. So thank you for that. Just in terms of path of travel, we're creating a system so that we're not crisscrossing, and students aren't crisscrossing as they're, going from place to place. And so we'll have like one way in, as Mr. Rubin has indicated, and one way out. Thank you. Anything else? Did I hear something? Oh, okay. Moving on. Response to symptoms.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm a school nurse here at Reach. Hold on one second. So our response to anyone who has any symptoms of COVID, we have a designed isolation room on campus. So any student that is experiencing any symptoms of COVID, those students will go to that isolation room. And then of course, staff who's experiencing any symptoms, we will have them go home immediately. And we do recommend for the student and staff to get tested as soon as possible. Depending on your student's primary care provider, they can return when they're symptom-free, I believe, for between 3 to 7 days. They have to be symptom-free before they return. And then of course, anyone who's feeling ill, we ask that you stay home. Anyone who's feeling ill at home, we ask that your student stays home as well. If anyone does test positive for COVID, any of those students and staff members who've been exposed to that person who tested positive, we do ask that you self-isolate for 14 days. And then our school will revert back to distance learning if we have positive cases in multiple cohorts, and 5% of students and staff test positive within the 14-day period. We will reopen after 14 days upon approval of our local Riverside Public Health Officer. And then anyone who does test positive for COVID, we will be reporting that case to our local health officer, who then reports it to the CDC. And then the CDC and our public health, they will help with contact tracing.
Thank you. Parent committees.
Hi, everybody. Marilyn, once again. I just wanted to take an opportunity to, now that we have a lot of parents on this call, just as a reminder that we do have parent committees on campus. Parent voices are very important when it comes to crafting our school plans, and your voice is very valuable. So I just wanted to reiterate that on our campus, we are looking to craft a school side council. Not only is it parent voices, but our stakeholder voices such as admin and teachers. And what you would do is look at our campus plan and help us with suggesting other ideas of how we can take the rigorous instruction that we have here at REACH to the next level, because as you know, we're always trying to close the achievement gap for our students. Second of all, we do have an African American Parent Advisory Committee. So data shows that African American students, there is a disparity in the data academically and also in terms of chronic absenteeism and other measures. Not only are we looking to find solutions for this student group, these solutions will also help our student body as a whole. So we are looking for parents to join these committees. Once again, your voices are valuable, and we will be sending more information throughout the school year on how will we, bringing parents to the table once again through a virtual platform in order to continue having these conversations. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call the front office. Our front office staff can help direct you to the appropriate coordinators to these parent committees. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Marilyn. We are missing one committee, and that would be ELAC. Anne, did you want to say a couple words about the ELAC committee? 3 words.
Certainly, thank you. So with ELAC, we would be reaching out to you if your child is an English learner and has more than one language that they're speaking. We're working on a variety of different supports that we can reach out virtually, because generally ELD supports are given in the classroom with the teacher, because a lot of it is the speaking, the listening, and then reading and writing. And so we're trying to find new supports, different supports that we can use virtually and online that'll still give us that interactive activity of doing the speaking and listening together. And we're working on what the model for assessment would look like, but it would also be by appointment only. And then with parents, we've got lots of information to share. So if you fall into that group, we would be reaching out to you in August so that you kind of know where we're at and what's going on. There were changes to assessments being made, so all of that will roll out to you as we get into the school year.
Thank you. So our students that are English learners will also still receive that 30 minutes of ELD instruction every day. So that doesn't go away. So just FYI. Thank you for that. Awesome. Save the dates. As we wrap up here, last 2 slides. So we do have our virtual meet and greet. The time is to be determined, but it will be August 20th. More information to follow. And then the next coffee with the director is September 17th, 2020 at 5 p.m. And by all means, tell a friend. Let's go ahead and move into our questions. We'll start off with questions from the chat, and then we will open the floor for any additional questions if there are still questions once we're done exhausting the chat questions. And we'll go ahead and have someone read those off one question at a time, please. Anybody?
I can do that. I feel like I've got them all highlighted.
Rentie, can we stop share screen now?
Yeah, we could. I guess so. That's fine.
Let's see faces.
Go ahead, Anne. I think I can do 2 things at once.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want me to read them or no?
See.
Okay. So if parents filled out the first survey, do you want the second survey to be completed as well?
So if parents filled out this first survey, meaning with the 3 options, option 1, 2, and 3, because there were 2 surveys that went out. If you've completed one of those 3 options, then there's no need to complete a second survey. We have that data, and we will call to confirm if that's still your choice before the school year begins.
Thank you. Would it be possible to get a confirmation that their surveys went through?
Yes, Mr. Finley, make a note of
Yes, so the teachers will receive their class rosters with each student's preference. And we are gonna have teachers just confirm with parents like, hey, Marcus Finley is in my class. We just wanna confirm that you selected the hybrid model. Is that correct? Yes, so teachers will be reaching out to parents individually just to confirm what was on the survey.
We may have to come up with like a way to contact parents sooner than that because it may not be for another 2 weeks. So if parents are worried as to whether or not we got their information, we'll work on that. We'll make a note.
I was going to say, feel free to reach out to us and we can definitely check, per individual.
At the very least, the teachers will contact you, but if we can, we'll work with Rachel and see what we can do. Awesome, next question.
For kids that have special education and assessments, will parents be given a schedule to follow?
That's a yes, and Venice, do you want to add any more information to that?
So the schedule for testing and the schedule for their services will all be provided to each parent individually based on the student's services and their class placement. Absolutely, via email.
Thank you. Next question.
So regarding assessments, they want some clarification about one teacher, one student, masked and socially distanced. Yes. And intervention staff will also help with that because we want to make sure that we're able to get through everybody with a flexible calendar so that we can increase the number of people providing those assessments that are qualified to do so.
Are you answering the question? Is that what
I'm answering it as I ask it.
Okay. And we just hear the clear. I don't know what just happened. Okay. All right. Give me the next. Did you just answer that one? All right. Moving on. Next question, please.
Will kinder be required to wear a mask? I think we covered that in the.
I'll answer it again. So that's a no. It's recommended but not required. Okay. Next question, please.
Let's see. Masks for teachers? Yes, they're required. Right?
Are you going to just answer the question?
No, yes. But will masks be required for teachers?
Thank you. That is a yes.
Okay, good.
Next question.
Let's see. How are we addressing hybrid attendance?
Ms. Navarro, do you want to?
I can definitely speak to that. We will definitely be monitoring. For now, what we're working out is we're monitoring attendance based on engagement versus location. So we will be able to monitor and check for attendance both during distance learning, the week off that you're doing that, engaging through Zoom lessons, etc. And then of course the students sitting in the seat on site.
So what I hear Mr. Navarro saying is that there will be attendance based on work completion, but then there will also be daily attendance. So if the child is on Zoom and the teacher is so they will make marks or mark into our student information system where their child is physically present or is present online. And for those kids that are not present that day, if the work is completed, it will also be counted as present, if that makes sense. Next question.
Are children still able to do walk-off after school?
I don't see why not. Absolutely. So for grades 4 on up, there is a walk-off option. Every year we have parents sign a permission slip for that. If they have a younger sibling, then we'll connect that child to the sibling and then the parent can meet them off campus. Absolutely.
Okay.
Next question.
Has the school considered obtaining the state waiver so in-person may be able to be provided safely sooner? I know some private schools have already had successful applications and are offering in-person instruction as soon as August 10th. Thanks.
Yeah, so so that is a consideration. We have considered the waiver. We do want, since there's still an uptick, a surge in new COVID cases, we're holding off to see where we are in the next 2 weeks. If there seems to be some kind of a stabilization and we're still on that watch list, but we appear to be stable, then Reach will definitely consider a waiver at that time. But obviously things are in flux. We don't have a definitive answer for that, but have we considered it? Yes. Are we definitive one way or another at this point? No. Next question.
If the school day is shorter in time, does that mean the school year will be longer?
Good question. School year is the same, but we are able to and will be also considering the time that's spent online. So although the school day is shorter by an hour, the instruction and the time for remote learning, remember that's still in play, and that's also considered to be part of the instructional time. So no extended year at this time. Next question.
Will laptops or supplies be provided for kids in specific grades, i.e. Chromebooks or iPads?
They will be Chromebooks, and supplies will be supplied to children based on need. If there is a need, we will fulfill it. So that is a yes, if need be. Next one.
How will kids be marked absent if they are there but something happens on Zoom and they can't get on, but then watch it later? Are they absent?
That would be a no, and that's going to be communication with teachers. And so in the same way teachers engaged students before and was checking up, and you communicate with the teacher, they'll be keeping track of those mishaps. And so what we would recommend to parents is, if there's a problem with Zoom, just text the teacher and say, you know, via Dojo, hey, we tried to get on, but we were having difficulty. And we will obviously take that in consideration. That would be considered being present at that time. And especially remember, we're going to also take into consideration work completion, and that will be also allocated as being in attendance.
Dr. Rentie, if I may add, so definitely look for the recorded versions of every class that will be available from your teachers. Make it up that way by watching the lesson, and then, as Dr. Rentie mentioned, submitting the work that, you know, correlates to the lesson, and that'll mark your attendance.
We want to say that the student being present on Zoom is, we feel like in terms of providing rigor, is the best option. And so we want parents to, to the extent possible, to have their child participate in those Zoom lessons. And then the next best option after that would be to watch the video. Next question, please.
Next question says, I'm a high school teacher. My school is determining whether we go back on campus every 6 weeks. If I'm required to go back to the classroom to teach before the end of the semester, will I be able to change my student from pure online learning to on-campus learning?
We will take extenuating circumstances under consideration. However, we do want to encourage you that if you feel like your child may go back to school at some point, it may be best to choose the in-person option, so that you can assure that spot. But if something comes up and it's extenuating, we'll consider it. No guarantees, but we'll do our best, as we have always, to try to accommodate the parent need. No guarantees though, if we're completely full. Right now the numbers look really good, and there may be a room for a small amount of movement, but not a lot. Just want to let you know that. Next question.
For in-class options, will students be at individual desks or shared tables again?
Good question. So remember, we said earlier, for grades K, TK, K, and 1, there are shared tables. The students will be physically distanced, as well as shield guards will be installed. For grades 2 on up, they will be in individual desks, and those desks will be physically distanced. Thank you. Good. Next question.
Dr. Rentie, just to elaborate on that question, would we fill those desks to full capacity?
No, so we had said, did we not mention that? So hybrid model, the whole intent of hybrid is to have half the kids in class at any given time. And so that's what's allowing for that 6 feet. Are you guys still admitting people? The 6 feet of physical distancing, right? And so you'll have half the kids in class. Students will be situated 6 feet apart. And again, that's for grades 2 on up. In order to achieve this in second grade, so if anyone has had second grade kiddos at Reach, those were shared tables, but we've now actually purchasing new furniture for second grade as well, so that we can physically distance those kiddos. Next question.
Seesaw required one-on-one help. What if you're a parent working from home? Will younger grades be primarily through Seesaw or live instruction?
A combination of both. A combination of both. We have talked to the lower grades about creating small group instruction, so you can expect more Zoom lessons with the TKK and first grade cohorts. Small group instruction, students grouped according to ability, so that teachers can help them to complete tasks that way. There will be Zoom lessons as well as the seesaw. Next person, next question.
How will the teacher Zoom and teach in class at the same time?
So through technology, and so we purchased Promethean boards that will allow them to interact live with kids that are online, as well as the kiddos that are present. And so the Promethean board itself acts as a computer, and the students will use their own individual MacBooks as their Zoom camera. It'll be interesting and fun, but they will be able to do both. More info to follow. Next question.
How will you let us know if we 100% distance learning or we can have our students at school?
Give us about 2 weeks to give you a definitive answer one way or another. Again, we're watching the we're watching COVID and seeing what the climate is in the next week or so. However, we're best case scenario, we will be opening up regardless August 25th. That week will be 100% distance learning for all students as we will be assessing. The following week, if everything goes well, we will start off immediately on starting August 31st with the hybrid model. And so we have correspondence going out to parents next week. And then I would say the following week, more definitive answers with regards to will we be able to start hybrid learning on the 31st of August. We're literally reading the tea leaves to see what our options are. And as it was alluded to earlier, we are definitely not taking the waiver off the table. It's definitely something we're considering, and we have to, again, hope to have something definitive in the next couple of weeks. Next question.
There are 2 more about Chromebook availability for younger students. I think you covered that already. But
Yeah, so we have a 1-to-1 now for 2nd grade. So that's one place that we've spent money toward the end of the year. We wanted to make sure we had devices that could go home with that younger grade as well. If you have a student in, say, 1st grade and you need a Chromebook loaned out to you, absolutely, that will be available. And the younger kids use tablets. And so, but once again, we even loaned out the Chromebooks to the lower grades if needed. So yes, we are here to facilitate your technology needs, and as well as even if you need help with connectivity, we're here to help with that as well. Next question.
We have a couple of questions I'm going to group together about uniform policies during distant learning, hybrid, times that they're online. What are we expecting for uniforms?
So in terms of uniforms, and I'm glad you brought that up because it jarred my memory on something else. So students will be expected to be in full uniform whenever on campus. Miss Marilyn will be sharing with you shortly, or in the next week or so, a new uniform vendor. So when kids are on campus, they are expected to be in full uniform. During distance learning, one of the things, if you were with us last year, one of the things that you will see the teachers tighten up on is participation. And so no lying down. Kids need to be up and have had breakfast. No eating and playing with your cat or your whatever else you're playing with during distance learning. So it will be treated as a classroom. And so we do expect students to be in a scholarly posture and environment so that they can learn. I hope that answered your question.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
And then to just clarify that, if they're at home, as long as they're scholarly, they don't need to be in a uniform, just have eaten and be prepared.
Yeah, so no need for a uniform. We would prefer to not see them in pajamas. We do feel like if they're in pajamas, they're taking the distance learning far less serious than they would if they were dressed. And so if they are up and dressed and ready to go, that's absolutely okay with us. And as long as they are in full dress code when they come to campus, that's going to be okay. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. For students on hybrid, how many students will be in the class?
It kind of depends on the class size, but on average, like 12 to 15 or less. So right now, for instance, we have some classes that are 8, but we won't go over 15 depending on the size of the classroom itself. Next question.
Can you provide a schedule of what a typical day would look like for distance learning?
Absolutely. Let me write that down. So schedule.
I have the schedule open, Dr. Rentie, if you want me to.
You have it. You want to go ahead and share it? Okay.
Yeah.
Can we just share that with parents later?
Distance learning or the one for hybrid? Because distance learning is going to look different.
So, and then the distance learning schedule, for the most part, will come from the individual grade levels as well. So we will have teachers share that with parents as soon as possible. So 2 things that we'll work on is notifying parents that we do have your options and that you're good to go, and then providing what that distance learning schedule would look like. Unfortunately, I'm just going to kind of go put my neck out there. It's going to be kind of spread out, but if you choose to be in person during the day and then catch like the science video later, like you can be flexible with that. But obviously a kindergarten schedule is going to look very, very different from a 6th grade schedule. And so we will have teachers share that with you as soon as possible. Thank you for that question. Any other questions?
Yes, many. We're getting there.
All right, let's go.
Is this meeting being recorded for parents who are unable to attend today?
Yes. Next question.
The next question is, do you know if an Amazon Fire will work for distance learning? Cameron?
Yeah, I believe so. The thing about the tablets that we've noticed is that they're not very reliable with Zoom. But yeah, I'm almost certain that Amazon Fire works with Zoom.
Thanks.
And if it doesn't work, just see us. Next question.
Is there a VPN?
Is there a VPN, Cameron?
Do they mean a virtual private network?
I think so.
No.
Is that not necessary? No. Okay.
No.
So that's a no. Next question.
How does education work for TKs? Is it the same as kinder and above?
How does education work? So TK is a modified kindergarten schedule. They will follow the kindergarten pacing guide. No, they won't. Actually, they actually are exposed to kindergarten curriculum, but at a slower pace. So they actually follow their own pacing guide. One of the things we want you to know, if your child's in TK, that we don't hold them back. So if they're ready to learn more and at a faster pace, then they will learn at their own pace, which is pretty great. And we actually just purchased a brand new TK curriculum, which is, help me out, Mr. Finley, what's the name of it?
Called Reading Mastery.
Reading Mastery, specific for TK. We'll continue with Pearson for our regular kinder classroom, but we do have a new curriculum for TK. TK also, they also use Singapore math, but it's just a different, I want to say model, for lack of, can't find the answer, but so we do, it's very similar to kinder, but again, at just a slower pace. Next question.
Sorry, I'm processing a couple new questions while I scroll back and forth. Okay, here we go. What online program will first graders use? Seesaw? And what is transaction protocol?
Let's see, online, off the top of my head, I believe first grade is using Zoom. I don't know that they're using Seesaw, and very similar to what they did last year.
They also said, Dr. Rentie, that they will be using Google Classroom.
Oh, Google Classroom, that's what I meant to say. Google Classroom, so a lot of Google Classroom this year. And then it's transition protocols, so meaning that you know, students will have one way onto the field and then one way off, one way into classrooms, one way out. We want to mitigate the crisscrossing of bodies. And so there'll be clear signage in terms of which way to enter and which way to exit. Next question.
What is recess enhancement?
Recess enhancement is activities that don't require kids to interact or share materials, but will allow them to move their bodies while they're 6 feet apart. Next question.
What are the fees for after school? Will it be reduced for hybrid?
So the fee schedule will be shared within the next week, and there will not be a reduction because of, number one, the hours will be a little bit longer. We also still have to have a full battery of staff, and our prices are already so extremely, they're so low that we cannot operate the program at a lower cost. But more information on that. The good question though. Next question.
Sure. And asking about when kinder assessments will take place.
Kinder assessments are starting next week, right, Mrs. Dumar?
Yep,
All right, next
that's
week.
correct.
All right, and if you're not on the schedule for kinder assessment, please reach out to Miss Rachel because you should already have a kinder assessment time and day. Mrs. Dumar, next question.
Will the meals be available to all students?
Absolutely, every day. So if a child is distance learning, we'll still have the drive up as we did in the summertime. And those meals are available from 7 o'clock in the morning until 2 p.m. Joanna, did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, basically all day you can come and get food for the kiddos. Next question.
I've got a tutoring question. Can I answer it as I go?
No, ask it first so we
Okay.
hear the question.
If my son had tutoring last year, will he get it again this year?
Go ahead, Mrs. Dumar, take that over.
Tutoring will depend on your student's performance when we give our baseline assessment. So if he still qualifies for tutoring, we will still provide tutoring. But if he's met his benchmarks, that tutoring spot would be given to someone who needs to close the gap.
However, we will still monitor for progress. And so if that child starts slipping and there's some mitigation or learning loss, they will be put right back into the tutoring program. Good question. Next question.
Okay. The students that are 100% on campus, is Friday like any other day? Are they required to go to school on Friday?
Good question. They are not required to go to school on Friday. That is only for essential workers and for families that must have childcare. And so Fridays is non-essential. They do not have to attend. That's just to meet the needs of the individual families. Next question.
Wait. Scrolling back and forth. Okay. Will hybrid students be able to, sorry?
If someone can have the next question going after, well, as she asked, and then you're ready for the next one, go ahead, Mrs. Dumar.
Will the hybrid students be able to socialize while adhering to social distancing, and how will this look?
So absolutely, and we're still figuring out what that's going to look like. So that's one of our so first priority was safety. Second priority is how do we meet their social emotional needs and their need to interact with, while also keeping them physically distanced and safe. So we're working on that piece.
If I may add,
I'm sorry.
I said I can add something to that. Go
Okay.
ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that that's still in the works, and we do have a parent communique coming out next week or so, and we'll give you a little more information on that. Did you want to add one more thing to that, Susie?
Yeah, I wanted to say what we do have, again, as a reminder, is we know for a fact we're allowing small cohorts to be outside, not everyone at once, and we're monitoring all students by staff very closely, keeping obviously regulations in mind. And then we're planning for engaging activities for the students that do not require shared equipment. So things like dance-offs or, freeze dance, etc. So that's what we're entertaining.
Awesome, thank you. Next question.
Dr. Rentie, do you mind if I jump in just for a moment? On the Friday, I know that if they're not required to go on Friday, but there will be many of the special education services provided on Friday. So we will do them on Zoom, or even maybe make arrangements for that person who's off campus to come in just for their session.
Okay, but it won't be required for them to come in. It's only if, okay. So, and then you'll try to catch those kids that are on campus and then give them their whatever they need. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question, please.
For students that are 100% online, what is their Friday schedule?
100% online. Their Friday schedule will depend on the grade level and the amount of how do I say, work that the teacher has assigned. And remember that on Fridays when the teachers will still be holding office time and office hours and small group instruction. And so it will still be a full day of learning. Yeah, next question.
Great answer. If a student is sent home due to a fever, what are the requirements for that student to return to school?
What's the guideline for fever, Miss Amber? I believe it's, Amanda, I'm sorry. There's like, is it a 24-hour fever free before they can return?
Yes, 24 hours fever free. But if they do have a fever, we do encourage them to be tested if they're showing a fever and other symptoms as well.
So a fever plus other COVID symptoms? We
Yes.
we're requiring that they're tested. If it seems to be ear infection related, then we're waiting for like a 24-hour.
24-hour fever-free without any reducing medications.
Perfect. Next question.
We have a parent that is curious about the type of sanitizer being used in the classrooms, that it would be sprayed and left to dry at the end of the day, and was just curious about what it is.
Mr. Rubin, we do have school safe, school approved and state approved cleaning, disinfecting materials that are used. And Mr. Rubin, do you have a quick answer to that at all?
Right, we're making sure that we're abiding by the OSHA guidelines, which is labeled, I believe it's 60% ethanol. And so we're using whatever the state guidelines from OSHA are providing for us. We're using that kind of hand sanitizer. And currently what we have is commercial grade, it's called the DS1 solution, which is safe, which is safe for students and staff being able to touch it. So the way it's going to work is you spray it, you let it sit for a while. I believe it's about 5 or 10 minutes, and then it gets wiped away. But it's safe for contact, physical contact. But we're going to make sure that it gets dried before, it's retouched. Surfaces are retouched again.
Thank you. Next question.
How will attendance be affected if a student has to remain home due to a family member being sick?
Then we would assume that child is now on 100% distance learning if they're still getting the work done. If there's some extenuating circumstance, we'd want to hear from that parent. But parents still have the option of independent studies if something were to arise and you wanted to take them completely offline. You have up to 20 days for independent studies. But if a family member is sick and they're able to still complete the work at home online, that will count as attendance, as being in attendance as well. Next question, please.
Sorry for the barking behind me. How do you sign up for the APAC committee?
Reach out to, who do we reach out to, Marilyn? Marilyn De La Cruz, right?
I was going to say, I will include the contact information. We have a teacher coordinator, Mrs. Monet Gascon, and I will include her email right now.
And you're going to put in the chat? Awesome. Next question.
Will the parent committees be available through Zoom?
Absolutely. Next question.
How do we expect the mask affect comprehension for young learners, both distant and hybrid?
How do we what?
How do we expect the mask maybe to affect comprehension for young learners, both distant and hybrid?
Yeah, so I know I have a hard time keeping a mask on all day. One of the other options is a face shield. I find that to be less intrusive, and obviously being behind the shield themselves. So we want students to be physically distanced and obviously to wear a mask, but obviously as they're eating, they'll be able to remove the mask throughout the day at various times. We're encouraging teachers to take kids outside and do some learning outdoors when the weather permits. And we're, give kids a break with the mask when we can. And when they do take the masks off, obviously, we want to make sure they're definitely physically distanced. We're also taking frequent breaks. And so our teachers have actually created schedules that also include breaks, where students are getting out of the classroom, washing their hands, moving around, so that they're not in classroom for long periods of the time, and that's from TK all the way up to 6th grade. Next question.
Dr. Rentie, before we move on to the next question, can you touch a little bit on what we're doing for teachers with regards to like sound in the classroom, the extra equipment that we're going to buy for each teacher? The mics.
Go ahead, take that over, Mr. Finley. Say that.
So we are on the other side of the spectrum for teachers, and we are thinking about like TK first grade and second grade. It's super important for the students to be able to see the teacher's lips as they do letter names and sounds, etc. So teachers are going to be wearing face shields as well, which will enable the students to really get like those mouth movements from the teacher as they're in the younger grades. Additionally, we are purchasing individual mics, cordless mics that goes around the teacher's face, and there is a speaker on the side of their waist that will strengthen or project their voice in the classroom. For those teachers that say they're wearing masks in the classroom because they prefer a mask over the face shield, we will now have their projected voice through that personal speaker in the classroom. So we just wanted to share that with you as well.
Thank you. Awesome. Next question. Good
Will
question,
the,
by the way.
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Ready?
I was saying good questions, by the way. Go ahead, Mrs.
They
DeMar.
are really good questions. Will the teachers be assigned?
Will they be assigned? Assigned to?
Students? Like, I think the question is, are we going to assign classes?
Yes, and on what is that, on the meet and greet, you'll be able to find out what those assignments are. So every teacher, we're in the process right now of assigning kiddos to their individual teachers, because our goal is obviously at one point to have all the kids back on campus. And so you will have one teacher, every child will have one teacher that they're assigned to. Next question.
Will first graders be taught by their teachers if we start online, or seesaw like in the spring?
They will be taught online using Zoom. Next question.
After the first week of school, will they be moving forward with the parent options, or is that dependent on whether Riverside County is off the watch list for the 14-day time period?
Good question. So it'll depend on the watch list as well as where we are with the waiver. So remember, we're entertaining one or the other, depending on what's happening with the virus.
And if we go on campus, and how did I put this? Somebody had asked a similar question, but that if at that time when we go off of distance learning, if they're not comfortable sending their child to school, can they then transfer to 100% distance learning?
Yes.
Great. Will kids still be required? We did uniforms. Yes. At school, uniforms. How are due dates and times being modified to accommodate working parents? Assignments last year were sometimes due before many parents even got home.
That is, I want all the parents to hear this, is please communicate with your teachers. We are flexible. So if your work schedule does not coincide with the due dates for the assignment, and you let the teacher know, hey, we need to work through the weekend and we can get it on Monday, you'll be given 100%, you'll be given full credit for that assignment. Your child will be given full credit for that assignment. So remember, the key here is flexibility on our part, and we want every child to be successful. So just communicate, communicate, communicate.
Rentie, can I add something there?
Yes, absolutely.
We also want to say that we are stressing on the live Zoom session. So we are trying to balance the amount of assignments kids have at home and trying to push a lot of our investment into the live session. So you may not receive as much at home assignments like you did prior, because now we have like a really clearer system than we have had when this first happened in March.
True, thank you. Next question.
I think we addressed this, but I'm going to make sure. What does TK and Kinder curriculum and schedule look like during distance learning?
So the schedule will have to be shared by the individual teachers. The schedule for distance learning will be, obviously they'll have a time when they're teaching various, the various disciplines. So an ELA time, a math time, science time, social studies, leadership time. No more than probably 20 minutes for those kiddos. It'll be interactive. And they'll try to get their core instruction done at the first part of the day while kids are up and vibrant and connected. The other time will be pushed out, so the other half of the day, when they're not on Zoom with their teachers, they're expected to complete a certain amount of work. And especially in Kinder, they've created a really awesome resource notebook for parents that'll be sent home, and a lot of pictures taken, a lot of submitting of work online. And again, if you need assistance with any of this, you'll let us know. If you're having difficulty with any of the software that's being used, just let us know. We're here to help.
Dr. Rentie, can I add a little thing there?
Okay. Yes.
And like when we met with the Kinder teachers a few days or weeks ago, they also took into consideration the span of the students, the students' attention span. So they have already embedded like a 15-minute break within each subject area. So students get their live Zoom session, they get a break, go to the restroom, run around the house a little bit for 15 minutes, and then they come back again for their next session.
Thank you. Next question.
Will there be separate teachers assigned for hybrid and full-time on-campus students?
No. So one class will have both hybrid, essential learning, and DL kiddo, and 100% distance learning kiddos.
If students are tested to be COVID positive, are you going to have a negative test prior to return to school?
Amanda, that's a yes, right?
Yes, we would like to. I know Kaiser, they're not requiring to test negative. So a doctor's note would be fine, like saying they're okay, they've been symptom-free for so many days and they can come back.
Can we mute? Can we just mute, please? Marcus, can you mute? Go ahead, Amanda.
So I know Kaiser, they're not allowing you to retest to test negative. So just a doctor's note saying that they've been symptom-free for so many days and they're okay to come back.
Thank you. Next question.
If someone, student or staff, has a confirmed case of COVID-19, will the school shut down?
Amanda, do you want to repeat some of the levels again? I know it was, go ahead, I'll let you repeat some of your slide.
Yeah, so I believe it was if 5% of students or staff test positive within 14 days, then we will shut down and revert to distance learning. Right.
And Amanda, what happens if one person tests positive?
I can jump in there. Oh, okay. Sorry.
So Amanda, if one person tests positive, what are we doing?
So anyone who's been exposed to that one person, they will be required to self-isolate for 14 days.
And there's a possibility, say, for instance, if it's one class might be required to isolate, right? It really depends on the exposure.
Yeah.
How many people that one individual encountered or, right, was in the vicinity of.
Yes. So also if multiple cohorts test positive or one person in multiple cohorts, then we will revert to distance learning.
So Ms. Amanda, I'm hearing you say that if there's a person in a cohort that tests positive, the whole cohort goes home. And then in addition to that, if we have multiple cohorts of 5%, then the school goes home.
Correct. And then we'll return 14 days after if our public health officer says okay.
Next question.
If we are doing 100% distance learning and then schools reopen at some point, will students be expected to return to the classroom?
Yes, but yes, but I'm assuming, don't quote me on this. Well, I mean, I guess I'm being videotaped. So I'm assuming that the state's going to allow us to give parents the option of distance learning for a great chunk of the year, if not the entire year. So this might be, so distance learning could potentially just be an option. So if you don't feel comfortable coming back, unless the state mandates otherwise, REACH will be okay with continuing with that distance learning option. Mrs. Dumar.
For the essential worker option, it is said 5 days a week, but Friday says childcare with virtual learning. Will there be a cost associated with Fridays, and will Friday be mandatory either way, whether there's a fee or not?
So Fridays for essential workers, there is no fee assessed, and it is not mandatory. It is only if you need childcare on that day. So if the parent is working, if not working on that day, by all means, it's best to keep your child home. Obviously, less exposure, and that parent interaction, and just help facilitate whatever work they have to complete online while at home.
If you pick an option for learning and your situation later changes, can you change your option for your student? This parent came in later in the meeting.
Yeah, no worries. We'll do what we can to accommodate the need, but by and large, we're asking everyone to pick an option that they think will work for them between August 25th and December 31st, because no changes will be made until the end of this, until December. If you have an extenuating circumstance that was out of your control that you didn't know was coming down the pike, and we can accommodate your need, we will. But if you feel like there's an inkling or there's a possibility that you could need to go back to work at any point during the year, I would highly recommend that you choose at least the hybrid option so that you have that so that that space is saved for your child.
Next. Will there be a way to pay fees online to socially distance in the office?
Yes. Working on that in every facet, definitely.
Are the student breakfast and lunch fees the same as the years previous?
Joanna, were they the same or slightly higher?
Same.
Same. So fees are the same.
Okay. And it says, yeah, second question was, are meals for kids free? And if not, what is the fee? I don't know if they mean to pick up or.
So the meals for kids are free if the child qualifies for free lunch. The cost is reduced if they qualify for reduced lunch. The best we can, we just suggest that you complete the free reduced lunch application to see if your child will qualify for free. Other than that, the meals range from, is it $2 to maybe $3, Joanna? I mean, we don't have that exact cost, but we'll definitely publicize that. How about that? But I definitely, if there's a question about free, I would definitely recommend applying for free reduced lunch. The application for that should be online pretty soon.
And we addressed Fridays being a full work day. We had a question about it being another weekend day. And I think you had addressed that.
Full work day?
Where you had said that we would have students working, that there would be a day of learning on Fridays. And the question was whether there's no learning on Fridays or another weekend day.
Okay, yeah, no, it's 100% distance learning for everyone on Friday. So work completion, small group instruction with teachers, office hours with teachers, finishing work for the week.
Thanks.
And special education will take place then.
And sped ed will do their push-ins. Intervention will be doing work on Friday. A lot of working on Fridays. Yeah.
For sixth graders, can we assume there will be no science camp this year?
That's a good assumption. That that's a yes. However, we are entertaining bringing science camp to the kids. We just don't know what that looks like yet, so no promise. But we have asked the folks that put on science camp to give us an outline of what that might look like. So they have kind of pitched that to us, that there's a possibility of bringing science camp to us. But we will not be going on any field trips, for that matter, this school year.
If REACH does not apply for the waiver and the whole school is on 100% distance learning, how much in advance will parents be notified when the county is off the watch list and in-person learning can begin?
As soon as possible. We're hoping to give you at least a 2 to 3 week notice one way or another so that you can plan accordingly. If, for instance, we're off the watch list and you had other plans and you can't start hybrid for the next week because it was a sudden change for you and you had other plans, your child was somewhere else, obviously we'll work with you on that. But our goal is to communicate with parents on all of it as soon as humanly possible.
Will students have disciplinary action taken if they are having trouble adjusting to wearing masks or adhering to all the new rules for in-person learning?
No. No.
How is REACH determining whether you will request the waiver?
Right now we're just watching the COVID and the surge because, we do have staff as well. And we know that kids, especially in elementary, while the rate of COVID cases are very small, we know that the younger kids can be carriers. And so we have to think about our staff to make sure that they're safe and then their comfort level, right? So as long as the virus is surging and the numbers aren't at least stabilizing, we'll probably follow suit with whatever our local district is doing. If we see stabilization, we will move forward with haste with the waiver. We'll give us 2 weeks tell you for sure which direction we're going to go in. Yeah.
Thank you. Will a new survey be sent in December?
So there will be some kind of a questionnaire that goes out to see, like, you know, are you in favor, or would you like to change your preferences, for sure. So we'll be in contact. Yeah.
We had a parent who came in a little late and wanted to make sure whether the question was asked or not. Is there a half-day option when children come on campus?
Yeah, there's no half-day option. We have 4 Monday through Thursday is full-day option only. If they're on hybrid, they are full-time Monday through Thursday 1 week, and then they're off the following week, and vice versa.
Thank you. For 100% online, how does breakfast and lunch work?
So the kids that are online, those parents would have to, at their convenience, come to school, drive up to the facility to then have the kids. It's like a, what do you call it? Like, it's like a pickup lunch, drive-through lunch. So they'll come and pick it up on campus at their break times.
If I completed the parent option more than once, where will my student be placed? Will you call to verify my choice ultimately?
So we are going by the last survey, because the first survey was, I think, a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday option. We're going by the survey that was the responses to the survey that was just last sent out, which is showing the AB hybrid with 4 days on, 4 days off. So the last survey is the survey that we're going to follow. And remember, if you have not responded to the survey, you have until Sunday at 6 o'clock to do so. And if we haven't heard from parents, we'll be defaulting, unfortunately, to distance learning. So please spread the word. We'll do everything that we can by pushing out, again, a reminder for parents to respond to the survey so that we can get all of your needs taken care of. Right now, we've actually had a very healthy amount of parents that have responded, and we have the majority of our kids already placed. And so we'll work on a way of notifying parents so that you can have that your child has been placed into the option of your choice.
And Dr. Rentie, can I add something there as well? Some parents, some families might have filled out the survey twice, the same last survey. So like a mother would have done it and a father would have done it, and they would have both chosen 2 separate options. What we did in that moment is we placed them into the option that would be hardest to get into. So for example, if one parent chose hybrid and one parent chose 100% online, we have placed them into the hybrid option because we know it's easy for them to transition into 100% online as opposed to vice versa. So we secured that spot just in case that's the one you really want. And then when we contact you, if you want to go to 100% online, then it would be easy for us to shift you back over.
Mm-hmm. Next question.
A follow-up to the distance learning breakfast and lunch. They're just clarifying, so there's no breakfast if you're on distance learning, just the lunch?
No, there's breakfast and lunch. So we start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then we deliver until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thanks. And is school starting for sure? How can we change our response to the survey? It didn't let you go back in to check and make sure you answered correctly.
So let's see, school is starting on the 25th, come rain or shine. And so, so we're starting with assessments and distance learning for sure. As far as changing the responses to your survey, go ahead and hold off on that. We'll be reaching out to you to confirm your preference. And so do not respond, like don't fill out the survey again, but we will reach out to make sure we have the preference that you so choose.
Can you email us to let us know how you have our student labeled?
Yes, working on that. We'll work on that.
Sorry, I came in a little late. What's the waiver?
Oh, there is an elementary waiver that we can apply for through the state to allow us to open up, despite the fact that we're on the stay-at-home orders, and it's only because we're in elementary school, and the rate of infection is very, very low for elementary. And so obviously we would have to be approved by the state to still open, and REACH is considering that waiver, but we're also looking at the climate just to see you know, when the virus appears to be stabilizing.
One parent didn't hear the question regarding attendance, and if your child is sick with any symptoms, COVID or not, will they be able to distance learn in that case without it affecting their attendance?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Let's see, I think that was everybody.
We did it?
I think there's one more that just came in, Ms. Dumeyer.
Just came in. Can you please explain the hybrid schedule again? It's Monday to Thursday?
So
Every other week?
Yeah, Rachel, when you send this out, I would just recommend that we also put the options up and then the survey one more time, but I'm happy to explain it. And so there's 3 parent options. There's option 1, which is 100% distance learning. There's option 2, which is hybrid model. So hybrid means students are on an A or a B schedule when, and both of the hybrids will alternate 1 week on and 1 week off. The students will attend school Monday through Thursday. Friday, they will be 100% distance learning. And so again, for Monday through Thursday on 1 week in class instruction, the following week they're out of class, and then there's a rotation of sorts. The idea behind this hybrid is to allow us to have fewer kids in class, and our goal is to have, we will have, and right now it looks very good, you know, half the class present at any given time or less. And so that's where the idea of the hybrid model has arisen. We've chosen the 4-day on and 4-day off because we felt like it was the least disruptive in learning, and the kids don't have to go back and forth. So when they're on straight. And then when they're off, they're at home and they're doing distance learning, connecting with their teachers, et cetera, et cetera.
We have just a couple more questions coming in. One of the phones had cut out and they just wanted to clarify whether school would close if someone is positive.
No problem. So Amanda, you want to repeat that again? Like what happens if one person is positive versus 2 versus a cohort?
So if one person is positive, we have an isolation room that, if students show symptoms, we will send them to the isolation room, call their parents, they'll be sent home immediately. We do require them to be tested. If they do have a positive test of COVID, we will let everyone know that was exposed to that one person. They will be sent home and be isolated for 14 days as well. If we have one person in multiple cohorts test positive for COVID, then our school will shut down and revert to distance learning. Or if 5% of students and staff have COVID, we will shut down as well and revert to distance learning.
Thank you for that. Any other questions?
What's the amount of students that would be in each class?
So we're looking at, depending on the grade level, because we have different class sizes, but on average, anywhere from 12 to 15 per class. No more than half of the kids that would be assigned to any given class will be present at any given time. Obviously, if the kids are in kinder, there's even a smaller amount. I can tell you that in some grade levels, especially at the lower levels, we have as many as maybe even only 8 kids in a particular class at any given time. So very low attendance numbers in person. And that's also considering our essential workers. And so it just worked out really nicely for us. I mean, we really kind of put ourselves out there. We wanted to take the needs of our essential workers into consideration, and you know, holding our breath. Well, kind of based on the first survey, we felt like it would work. And so even with the essential workers, we're able to still achieve a ratio of half of the kids in the class at any given time. And just remember that when they're in class, their desks will be physically distanced. They will be 6 feet apart. If they're in kinder and first grade, as they share tables, they will still be 6 feet apart. They'll have their own workstations, and they'll have shield guards, sneeze guards, dividing each workspace. And so we've tried to think of all the contingencies and try to create classrooms that were as safe as possible. Any other?
I have 2 more. Are masks or shields going to be provided?
So we're working on that. So We're asking, because we're one single charter school, we would love for parents to send their kids with masks every day. That would help us out tremendously. But will we have masks on hand to give to our kiddos? Absolutely. We would like for parents to not rely on that, but we definitely will have them.
And do essential workers need to bring anything in to show proof that they are an essential worker?
Right now, no, but if the need becomes great and we feel like we can accommodate, we may have to. Let me put it this way: be ready just in case, like, you know, to validate or prove that you're an essential worker, just in case we have individuals that actually really need the spot. Right now, the numbers are where we need them to be, and so we're okay, and it's the honor system because we can. But if we had had a deluge of individuals seeking those spots, we would have been required to have people show proof. At this time, we're okay.
And what is considered essential?
So anyone that's mandated to go to work every day. So that could be, our teachers are considered essential workers. They're going to be teaching your kiddos every day. So they're number one on our list. Their kids are able to come every day. Anyone that works in the medical profession, or if you work in any type of service industry, say restaurants. You know, if you're a family, a parent that's working at a local restaurant and you have to work every day and there's nowhere for your kids to go, then we want them at school learning, making sure they're safe, having their meals every day, and taking care of their needs at school. So anyone that has to work to survive for us is considered essential at this time. If you can stay at home and your child can stay at home, if you're able to work from home, we're asking you to choose a hybrid or 100% distance learning model and save those spaces for parents that have to go out and have to work. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Rentie. I think that is our last question.
There's actually one more.
Okay.
I saw what it come through, and it asked how you were going to do house inductions if we're off the campus. And I thought that was terribly important, and we had to address that before we left this.
Yay, thanks for asking that question. So we are figuring out how to keep the fun going, house competition and house inductions. So I don't have the answer to that one, but we are working on it. And so what we don't want to do is lose the essence of who we are. We don't want to lose that interaction and engagement that we have with our students that we feel like is unique to our school. So we're looking at ways to supercharge our house inductions and interactions amongst our students. So it's going to be even more important for us to interact with them and connect with them in the best way that we can. So I don't have an absolute answer, but I can tell you that we're working on it. So good question. Thank you.
Dr. Rentie, might we have house games for kids online?
Yeah, we're working on that as well, right? So we did some fun stuff with 6th grade, but we're trying to work out a way that we can have house games for all grade levels. What's fun with that is that we can still jump on as staff, say if it's on Zoom, and we can have some fun there. We'll look at ways that we can still, you know, do some of that obviously with the hybrid. So we're working on it. I don't have an absolute answer yet, but it's definitely a priority of ours. I thank you for all the thank yous. That warms our heart. Go ahead, Susan.
I would like to acknowledge your parents' gratitude throughout the thread, as many parents have been sharing, and I'll just read a few so you can see them and then the staff gets to hear them as well. A few of the comments, like I said, they are throughout the chat, so it's a shared sentiment. Thank you. I really appreciate all of your hard work. Thanks so much, Reach staff. You are all amazing. I am proud to be part of this community. You are all wonderful. Thank you for the work you're putting into this. There is no other school I would want my son to attend. Incredible job preparing such detailed procedures and protocols to provide our children a safe and supportive academic experience. Thank you, Reach staff. Thank you, Dr. Rentie and staff. You are excellent. And there are many, many more.
Awesome. Well, we are appreciative of every last one of you on the call. Please spread the word. We will, Rachel, you want to tell us what we're going to do for communication next? Is this going up online? When will it go up? When will the survey go out? Can you give us some information, please? Rachel.
The information that I gave to parents recently was that the recording of copy with the director would get posted by Monday, but I can try to post it sooner, as soon as I get the recording from Marilyn. And
Is there a way? Is there a way we can get that survey and then repost the option so that we can get as many responses as possible by Sunday, as Ms. Navarro, Mr. Finley, and I are putting kids in cohorts right now. And
definitely, I can send that out this evening again.
So much, I appreciate that.
And Miss Rachel, can you also, as you send out the survey, ask them only for people who haven't completed it just yet?
So if anyone needs to change their option, like, don't do it that way. We'll reach out and get their updated options another way.
Okay. I'll talk to you after about that.
Awesome. All right. No more questions, right? Well, we appreciate everyone on the call. I do have to say the staff is amazing. They've been working really, really hard. We had 2 days, just hats off to our teachers. We had our team leaders gave up 2 days out of their summer to come and work on what the instruction is going to look like for next year. I've just never seen a harder working group of people. I'm very blessed and very grateful for all of you, for all you parents. Thank you for tuning in. We hope we've answered your questions, and you will hear from us soon, very, very soon, with definitive answers as it relates to whether we're going for the waiver, you know, what the first day is going to look like, but just know that regardless, on the 25th, instruction starts. So thanks again. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you later. Staff, awesome, thank you. If those of you that were, so see you later parents, those of you that were on the call with me, if you want to stay on for a second, just for a quick debrief, and I'm just gonna play some music while everybody's going out.
We're gonna have Marilyn, you can cut the recording for us from here.